Welcome to Middle Age Can Be Your Best Age, the show designed to help make middle age your prime time of life by defying the notion that once you reach 40, 50, or even 60 years old, your crowning achievements are all behind you. Regardless of whether you're just approaching 40 or firmly entrenched in your middle years, it's time to launch your very own personal journey toward a joyful and purpose-filled second half of life. Each week, host Roy Richards, an expert on midlife renewal and author of A Midlife Challenge, Wake Up, will discuss the challenges common to middle age and help guide you to a brighter tomorrow. Now, here's Roy.
Well, hello, and welcome to Middle Age Can Be Your Best Age. Today, we continue our series of programs on your job and your career, and I'll begin today's program with some good news. An article in the October 6, 2017 USA Today reports more job openings, and as they call it, plumper pay raises are on the way. Employers advertised a record 6.2 million job openings in July, and businesses are chasing a shrinking pool of uncommitted workers, according to the article. Nothing like a job seeker's seller's market, and employers can't find qualified candidates. 31% of small businesses said that they had pensions or positions to fill in August 2017, a 16-year high. And the best news of all, job switchers get bigger raises. Full-time employees who switch jobs get yearly raises that are half a percentage point higher than their counterparts who stay put. And so if you're out of work or not even 100% satisfied with where you are today, now is a great time to be seeking a job and a career change just right for you. And anyone who has experienced it, of course, knows that job search can be a period of extreme highs and lows. That great feeling right after you feel like you really aced a job interview and that a solid offer for your dream job is only a few days away, and that crushing disappointment just 1 or 2 weeks later when you learn that the company hired someone else. And compounding the negative impact on your self-confidence, it also is very hard to get back in the swing and to resume networking and to go after that next great opportunity. And another troubling aspect of not receiving an offer, you may not have the slightest clue as to why you were rejected. And my guest today, career management expert Mike Gelman, is here to help you answer the question, why didn't they offer me the job? And more importantly, he's here to offer suggestions on what you can do to ace your interviews and how best to recover from rejection and to locate and get hired for that position that's just right for you. And Mike Gelman is the founder of High Five Career Coaching. He coaches highly motivated professionals and leaders in various stages of their careers. He helps clients gain greater clarity, create sustainable change, and achieve higher levels of excellence. He has a 15-year track record with Fortune 500 companies and nonprofit organizations and has facilitated succession planning, high-potential leader development, employee engagement, and organizational change. And he's an ACC credentialed coach through the International Coach Federation, or ICF, a premier organization for professionally trained coaches. And he's author of the acclaimed 2014 book, Pipe Dreams, 7 Pipelines of Career Success. And hello, Mike Gelman. Welcome to Middle Age Can Be Your Best Age.
Hi, Roy. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's begin with the negative. You got the job interview, and it seemed to go great, but you never heard back or you received that standard cold formal rejection letter. Can you run down for us a few of the mistakes that folks make during an interview that may have cost them the offer?
Sure. Some of the common mistakes during the interview is, not answering the questions directly. Many times interviewees, they might have the chops, they've got the experience, but they don't answer the question directly. And sometimes interviewers will follow up that, so if I'm interviewing you and you don't quite hit the mark, I might follow up and press you for maybe an example. And that's something that's often lacking, is a concrete example of how you demonstrated that skill or how you would demonstrate that for this prospective employer.
To put some meat on the bones rather than just saying you can do something to give an example of how you've done it.
Yeah, exactly. And there's very few things more frustrating to an interviewer to, have to try to pull that out of you. And, many interviewees speak in big tones. So that would be one thing there, is not being as on the spot in terms of answering the question and clear enough with examples.
Yeah.
Another thing is your presence, and this isn't often talked about a whole lot.
Yeah.
You might have different mannerisms and things of that nature, nervous habits, things of that nature, but that's important too. That could be a distraction. So distractions like that. With presence,
though, if you don't look the interviewer in the eye, or you're looking at your watch or something like that.
Yeah, or worse, maybe you're looking at your phone. You pull out your phone to look at a text or something. I've had that happen. Believe it or not.
You're out.
Pause an interview to text someone back. Yeah, so that's a no-no. But your presence is more about kind of the energy you give off during the interview. And when you've been out of work for a while, in many cases, or if you are, for example, middle-aged and you have a lot of self-doubts about, who's going to hire me at my age, I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
That can show up in the interview, and you can subconsciously sabotage yourself and be either more tentative in your responses, and you're not coming across with the level of confidence that a prospective employer wants to hear and to feel. They want to see that. A second aspect is you might come across as negative. Are you kind of having this negative energy or bitterness or anger? And some of us are aware of that, and some of us, that's a blind spot. We're not even aware of how we're coming across in that way. And I've had numerous interviews over the years, and just colleagues of mine who are, recruiters. That's a common theme, is that, many candidates will show up as, kind of that negative energy or bitter, or talk badly about their previous boss or employer. And
nobody wants to hear, how screwed up the company was you worked for and how it's all their fault.
Right. Every company's got their own pitfalls, right? Every company has something that's, not right. Some more than others, but we don't want to focus on that. We want to focus on what can you do for this prospective employer. How will you benefit them? That's really what they want to hear.
Well, in your promotion, you promised to share 4 things listeners of all ages, including those of us at middle age, can do to ace an interview and help get the job offer. Can you share those 4 things?
Sure. Well, we've talked about a couple already, but one of them is your competence, your qualifications, and many times we think that we've got what it takes to do the job, but sometimes it's not even our own fault. Sometimes the job descriptions aren't written the best. They're not the most accurate or up to date. So while we may think we're qualified, that's not always the case. So one of the key things that I was mentioning before is you want to have examples to demonstrate how you've done different things, how you've resolved a conflict or how you've met a deadline or things like that. The other thing, though, in terms of the competence and qualifications is not just qualified for today, but qualified for tomorrow.
Oh, that's such a good future, because you're generally, unless you're maybe 2 years from retirement, you're not just interviewing for the present job. You're interviewing for career progression and what you can bring the employer in the future.
Exactly. So employers are thinking, a year from now, this job's going to require, these new skills or these new capabilities. Will this person be able to grow into that, or will they be able to adapt?
Yeah.
Or are they going to be willing to do that, right? Is there someone that might be set in their ways?
Able and willing.
Yeah, so able and willing. So that's that would be, one key. I talked about when I was talking about presence, the cousin to that is your attitude. Your attitude. And so that would be a second key thing is your attitude, making sure that your mindset is in the right place and that you are thinking positive. And almost in many cases, I encourage my clients to visualize themselves nailing the interview and getting the job. High-performance athletes do this all the time. So, Olympic athletes, they envision themselves breaking the tape at the finish line, if it's a marathoner, or they envision themselves, clearing that high bar, the high jumpers.
It's great to envision yourself in that position and what it would be like and what you would contribute.
Exactly. So
wouldn't hurt.
So part of it, so that's the attitude, and again, not dwelling on the negative stuff, but really the attitude and what goes hand in hand with the attitude. It could be a third thing. Would be your enthusiasm.
Yeah.
How much excitement, enthusiasm do you convey? Because one of the first questions that employers ask is what? Why do you want this job, or why do you want to work here? Right?
Yeah.
Almost every interview includes that question.
Yeah.
And so to be really clear on that, on the why, is important, because then your enthusiasm is going to show up.
That's an opportunity for you to really sell yourself too. If you can demonstrate you know enough about the company that you've done research and that you really have skills you can add to that to the company, it just makes a huge difference if you have that confidence and demonstrate it. Exactly.
So the enthusiasm is important, and as you're mentioning, preparation helps to funnel that. And many people come unprepared, and when you're asked for, do you have any questions? And the candidate says, no, not really, I don't have anything.
Yeah, that's really blowing an opportunity, isn't it?
It is. It doesn't show well. Or if you're asking questions that are very easily researchable on the company's website, that doesn't show well either. And it's a missed opportunity, right? It's a missed opportunity.
Should say, go to our website and you'll see.
Yeah, I mean, what better is it to say, hey, I noticed that in your latest press release about your third quarter earnings that, you're expecting, if it's Apple, let's say, your iPhone 10 or iPhone X, you're expecting sales to increase by X amount, and you might ask some question.
Yeah, that would be.
Related to that, kind of a deeper level, in terms of that, and that shows a little bit of preparation, and it shows a little more critical thinking as well.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, let's say you're in the middle of a crucial job interview, an interview with the person is the final hiring authority, probably your intended future boss, and unfortunately up to now you fear the interview has not gone well. You don't feel like you've made emotional connection with the interviewer. She or he hasn't reacted positively to your responses, and you don't believe you're selling yourself as the right person for the job. At this point, what, if anything, can you do to recover and save the day? Is there anything you can do when you're halfway into the interview to rescue it?
Yeah, that's a tough one, and I've been there where you feel like you're taking the interview, or the interviewer is just somewhere else, right?
I've been there a few times myself.
There's a few things you can do. One is pause and take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Sometimes, as interviewees, we might be going on and on and on.
Yeah.
And we're not giving a chance for the interviewer to do that. If we're picking up signs where they're disinterested or distracted, or we answered something in a way that, like, oops, that wasn't the best way. It's okay to come back to a previous question. It's okay to come back and say, answer the current one and say, I had an additional thought about the previous question or earlier question you had mentioned. If it would be okay for me to expand on it or share or clarify.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's an opportunity to self-correct, and that's perfectly okay to do that.
Yeah.
Another thing you can do as well is you can ask them questions about what's really important for them for this candidate, for this candidate to be successful. You can start to probe a little bit about what truly is of concern to them, and then you can respond to that.
Oh, because that's an excellent idea.
Sometimes interviewers, quite honestly, stink.
That's very true.
They haven't been trained on how to interview, and the questions they ask don't elicit the best of you. And so sometimes you need to do things to help steer the interview in a more productive direction.
Boy, that's so true.
And so that's part of the preparation as well. And so, again, sometimes it's asking them for permission to expand or ask them a question. Sometimes it is picking up on that to say that when you respond to something, say, does that answer your question? Yeah. So if you notice that they're distracted, or I'm not quite sure if that was on point to what you were intending, is there anything else you were hoping I would share about that? And that gives an opening for them to say, rather than just move on to the next question, that gives them an opening to say, actually, I would like to know a little bit more about X or Y.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Well, here's a challenge often faced by those at middle age. How best should you respond if an interviewer comments that you, quote, appear overqualified for our position, which often is a blatant form of hidden age discrimination? How do you respond to that?
It's funny you mentioned it. I just had a conversation yesterday with a colleague about this exact issue. And he's a seasoned, he's a consultant now, but in his previous life, he was at the executive level, VP level, and currently he's looking to go back as, into a company. He does, he's considering doing that rather than consulting.
Yeah.
So the key thing is to have a good story. Know that if you're overqualified, because there's many reasons why we apply for a job that is kind of a lower responsibility than what we currently have.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just out of desperation. We need a job.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to say that, though.
You don't want to say that, no. But oftentimes it's a lifestyle choice.
Yeah.
Many times we want it down, just like, I've done that, and I know the headaches with that, and I don't want to do that, or it's too high up there, and I'd rather be more hands-on. Yeah. And I have a client right now as well who was an executive. He went out on his own, and he's currently came back as a manager. Was asked by a colleague to come back as a manager at this company. So he's 2 levels below a level he used to be. And the reason was, he's like, I just want to be more hands-on and grow a team. And the benefit for the company, you have to be able to be convincing to the company that this is really what you want. You're not looking to move up, if that's the case. If that's the case.
Or a counter, you could say, I think so highly of your company that I'm more than happy to accept this position with the hope that I can contribute more in the future. That, you can express the fact that, you think it would be such a great fit that you are willing to accept this so-called overqualified position right now.
Yeah, so part of it's that story, and then the second half, Roy, is to illustrate the benefit for them.
Yeah.
They're getting extra value at a lower cost, and they're not going to have to pay for it, because their concern is, how happy are you going to be a year from now? You could do my job, right? The person interviewing.
Yeah,
you could do my job, and the concern for them, the interviewer, is like, well, what's that going to mean for them, right?
I've had a couple of situations like that. I felt I thought I was after his job.
Yeah. So part of it's creating safety and being able to clearly connect the dots and share why it is you want that job. It's not going to work with everyone. I mean, let's be clear, right? It's
it may not be a place you want to work anyway if they really do mean that.
That's data, isn't it? That's information. Maybe that's not the right culture, and so that can be part of your research. It's finding companies and targeting organizations where that won't be viewed so much as a threat, but viewed as more great, because many companies actually are targeting older workers.
Yeah.
Many companies they welcome that, and they're recruiting them because they know they're seasoned and they don't have to spend as much time on the training. They're more reliable. They're not necessarily going to hop around.
Yourself has it. You've had the training, and you certainly are qualified for the position, and they're not going to have to spend a lot of money or time training you for it. But,
exactly.
Let's turn to the positive and talk about the message from your excellent book, Pipe Dreams, 7 Pipelines of Career Success. First of all, how did you come up with that title of your book, Pipe Dreams?
Well, I used to work for a natural, before I went out on my own, with my own coaching and consulting firm, I worked for a natural gas company.
Oh, I see.
And with lots of pipes. So that was part of the inspiration. So it's a double entendre in that sense, because many times we sell ourselves short. We have these fantasies about what we would love to do, and we don't pursue it.
No,
because
we don't really know exactly what that entails. We just think it sounds nice, or it's nice to dream.
Yeah, we think it's unattainable. It's unattainable. And so what I wanted to do was write a book to help individuals who are struggling to take charge of their career and take ownership of their career. So I came up with a pipeline model, kind of using that as a metaphor, and it's kind of 7 pipelines, if you will. And for example, the main one, the hub, is like purpose and passion. That's at the core. And they kind of work together, and that the preparation and personality. So I have all these other pipes that kind of fit into the model. So that was the genesis of the book. Is I came up with a model in my mind, and then I wrote the book, kind of speaking to those different aspects. And that you're doing, I make an analogy to a natural gas pipeline system. Like if you have a leaky pipe, what kind of leaks do you have in your career? Stuff like that. So,
chapter 2 of your book describes 10 common myths that can mislead us as we navigate our careers. We don't have time to go into great detail, but can you spell out a couple of the most important myths and how best we can overcome them?
Yeah, one of the biggest, I work with a lot of technical professionals, and the first 2 myths come up a lot with them. If I keep my head down, work hard, and do a good job, the right person will take notice, tap me on the shoulder for that next great opportunity. And the other one is my work will speak for itself, or should speak for itself.
Yeah, that's putting your future in the hands of somebody else rather than taking charge of your own career development, in effect.
Exactly.
Keep working at it.
And it's definitely a piece of the puzzle. You want to do good work. That's important. In fact, that's one of the pipes that I have in my model. Your performance is kind of your e-ticket. It's your entry point, but it's not the only thing. Relationships are, but you have to be visible. And I talk to many clients. It's like, well, your boss is busy, and they don't always. I mean, when I have a workshop, Roy, I'll ask people. I'll say, what? Raise your hand. How many of you feel that your boss knows what you actually do on the job? So, does how many people raise their hands
or not?
Does how many raise their hands out of 25 people?
I don't know.
Maybe 3. Maybe 4.
The next question is, why the hell don't you let them know?
Yeah, and that's a whole book in and of itself, right? There's many reasons, but in the most positive sense, if they've got 10 people reporting to them, or they've got 50 people in the organization, they're stretched thin, you know, and so they don't always know, and they're not always an expert in what your job is either. You know,
it's amazing how many people think that all the attention is paid to them and their career development, and that's a crucial element of their boss's thinking, whereas in fact, you know, you're just one of the cogs that you need to somehow show that you're outstanding and that you're contributing more than your fair share, and you're optimistic and know what you want out of the job and are seeking to get there. And I think
you're hitting the nail on the head. It's like they don't necessarily even know what you want. So sometimes, I mean, technically it would be great if they initiate those career conversations, but if they don't, then it's up to you, ultimately, to initiate the career conversation with them and let them know what it is that you want. And even beyond that, because to be more visible in other parts of the organization and network internally. Yeah.
That reminds me of talking to your boss. One time I was at a bar with my boss following a convention. You know, we just went down to the hotel, and they had entertainment. A band was playing loudly, and I said, when is this band going to take a break? And my boss said, well, you have to make your own breaks. And of course, I wasn't even talking about my career, but that I should have taken advantage of that and opened up with what I wanted, but I was completely shocked by what he said.
Yeah.
Well, where's the best place we should go to preview and purchase your book, Pipe Dreams?
So it's available on Amazon. So you can go to Amazon.com.
Yeah.
That's the easiest and quickest way to get a copy of the book. They can also go to my website if they want to get a signed copy of my book. They can order it directly from me. And they can go to MikeGellman.com.
Gellman is how you spell your last name, right?
Yes, exactly.
And you also offer individual and group career coaching, resume review, and interview preparation, public speaking, training, and consulting services. So, if anyone's interested in any of those things, they can definitely go to that website and find out about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, to conclude, ever since the Great Recession of 2008, 2009, it seems like a lot of us have been hunkered down, clinging on to jobs we presently have, accepting at best modest raises, if any at all, happy to have a job even if it's far short of where we'd like to be. But as I pointed out at the beginning of today's program, the time for extreme caution is over. It's time to spread your wings and transition to that job and career tailored to you, be it within your present employer or somewhere else, your unique blend of talents, capabilities, and aspirations. And as we so often emphasize on this program, it is possible to have a good time while serving others and earning a living. And as my guest Mike Gellman so effectively emphasizes in his book, Pipe Dreams, it makes absolutely no sense to depend solely upon someone else to grant you a successful career outcome. You need first to clarify your purpose and discover your passion. Next, you need to realistically examine your career performance and how you can improve. Then brand yourself and demonstrate your potential. Precisely why would anyone want to hire or promote you? And no one is better qualified to manage your career than you, so why depend solely upon a present or potential employer? And if you're presently out of work, stuck in your career, or can't seem to figure out how to chart a path to success and fulfillment, I highly recommend you visit Mike's website, MikeGellman.com, and preview his book, Pipe Dreams, because fulfillment in your career is too important to rely on anyone else. And thanks a million, Mike Gellman, for the interview, and best of success with your book and your career management services.
Well, thank you, Roy. It was a pleasure being on your program.
While we're on the subject of job search, you may recall on our October 2nd program, I gave you commandments 1 through 5 of my 10 commandments for successful midlife career transition. First, targeting and defining the position just right for you, and next, creating that position or marketing yourself to an employer who needs someone just like you. And today I'm going to run through commandments 6 through 10. Here's commandment number 6. I will disassociate myself from negative thoughts and negative people. That's disassociate myself. Even after you start your career transition on a positive note, you must remain constantly on guard to prevent negative thoughts from creeping back in. And as a corollary, you must not permit another individual, especially a loved one, from replanting stress-inducing thoughts. Thoughts like, I can't do this, or no one will hire me at my age, or I'll never find a well-paying job, we'll lose everything. During job search, I strongly encourage you to limit interactions with routinely negative individuals. Now, I'm not suggesting you summarily divorce your spouse or disown your closest companion simply because they aren't continual rays of sunshine, but best case, you'll be able to convert loved ones and cherished friends into fellow disciples of positive thinking. Worst case, you can resolutely refuse to endorse another's negative comments or to respond in kind. And unfortunately, in today's world, negative thinkers abound all around us. Therefore, you must always remember that no one can make you feel angry, disillusioned, or pessimistic. Ultimately, you and you alone will determine whether to picture today's picture as half empty or half full. And as you condition your mind to envision a brighter tomorrow, you will begin to transfer those positive emotions to folks around you because, as we all know, positive emotions are catching. Have you conditioned yourself to routinely demonstrate a desire to help others, a positive can-do attitude? If so, you soon will find yourself in increasing demand from potential business partners, employers, other people who can help you out in your career. You can expect to form strong emotional bonds with successful business folks of diverse ages, backgrounds, and personality types, giving you a range of options for your next job. And commandment number 7, I will treat career transition as a major life project. I trust you'll approach job search with the same positive sense of urgency you once gave to prior destiny-changing events like getting married or having your first child. I suggest you make yourself 3 solemn promises. 1, for me, finding the ideal position is far from a passing fancy. 2, after consulting with spouse and kids, I will prepare a realistic financial contingency plan so that immediate monetary pressures will not distract me from exploring and finding the ideal option, a position that's perfect for me. And 3, I absolutely refuse to abandon essential career objectives in the face of unanticipated obstacles or disappointments. And believe me, I've gone through it a few times. Disappointment is just about guaranteed at some point, but that doesn't mean you're finished. And whether you're currently out of work or merely considering a change, no project on the horizon offers greater promise to favorably transform your life. It is possible for you to have a good time while you earn a living. Just think about it, actually looking forward to Monday morning. Wouldn't that be great? Let's go to commandment number 8. I will transform my body along with my mind. Let's face it, although weight discrimination is technically illegal, all things equal, the thinner, more fit candidate is more likely to get hired. And firming up the body will help you to feel better about yourself. Also, quite frankly, it may prove extremely difficult, if not impossible, to approach a bright future with renewed vitality if your mind and spirit continue to reside in that 50-pound overweight body. And I've been there and done that, so I know what it feels like. If you are presently significantly overweight and out of shape, I highly recommend you launch a physician-approved diet and exercise regimen while you search for that next position. Like magic, as your body begins to firm, your entire outlook on life and your potential will firm up as well. Through the process of losing weight and getting in shape, you will gain the confidence you need to first get hired, then excel in the position of your dreams. You also will gain the vitality you need to stay sharp throughout the day on your new job. And once on the job, please resolutely and absolutely refuse to permit healthy diet and exercise to take a back seat to the daily rush of events. So easy to do at middle age, isn't it? Routine exercise need not be strenuous for those of us over 40. A brisk walk around the block or maybe even inside the mall. The infamous mall walkers aren't just people over 70. You can do that too. They may do the trick. And going on to commandment number 9, I will begin to think and behave like a successful incumbent. You need not delay until you're hired or create your next position before you begin thinking and acting like a winner. You certainly do not need anyone else's assurance that you have changed, although in time those assurances undoubtedly will follow as people will be impressed by how you've changed. The only true affirmation needed comes from within. And to speed your emotional transition and to convert your dream to reality, promise each day to visualize the precise image and the positive thought processes of the person you seek to become. Next, strive consciously at every opportunity to act out the part. And guess what? Before long, your subconscious mind will begin blurring your play acting with reality, and you really will begin thinking and behaving like an incumbent. It's pretty easy to fool a subconscious mind if you work at it. And as commandment number 9, I'm merely asking that you reclaim one small miracle from your childhood, the ability to imagine, act out, and believe in your dreams. And no, I'm not suggesting you then sit back idly awaiting a magical transformation. Rather, I urge you to temper your imagination with frequent reality checks, then launch a rock-solid action plan to convert your dreams into reality. Finally, commandment number 10, through networking, I shall continually expand my circles of cooperation. You know, you won't successfully launch a new business or get hired for that ideal position without help, lots of it. Our 10th and final commandment encourages you to advance your career through a fluid series of ever-expanding networks of both transitory and permanent circles of cooperation, because effective job search or career transition is a cooperative venture. If you're seeking a new job, your circle might include former bosses or contemporaries that you used to work with. And here's an idea. If you were recently downsized by your company, you might want to contact former colleagues who were downsized right along with you. That would be a great group of cooperative job seekers. A second possibility might encompass fellow job seekers in your church, volunteers, or folks you made contact with at prior professional or industry meetings. And if your city has a 40-plus job search club, I highly recommend you contact them, job seekers helping out fellow job seekers. It's a great idea. And they offer all kinds of services from professional sounding phone answering, practice interviews, and positive critique of your resume, and I don't mean just to find fault, to truly help. And best of all, you'll have the warm feeling of a mutual sharing of ideas, each one contributing to the team with the ultimate objective of new jobs for all. And you must never forget that effective circles of cooperation require give and take. So you must be prepared to lend your advice and talents to fellow job seekers to hold up your end of the bargain. And you know it's working once you begin to experience triumph when someone else finds a job. And circles of cooperation may be formal or informal, constant or fluid, permanent or transitory. Effective alliances come together for short-term tasks like intelligence sharing, resume critique, or interview practice, and permanent formal circles may be formed to accomplish critical long-term projects like launching a new business or forming a joint venture partnership. But for you and your venture partners, you'll need to ensure the proper mix of unique capabilities and technical expertise to get the job done. Whatever your ultimate career goals, my advice to you is the same. Seek out help and cooperation from those around you for a mutual advantage at every opportunity. And most of us are indeed honored to be asked, and oftentimes the only payback you will need is a heartfelt thank you. In concluding our discussion of mid-career job search, I offer one final challenge. Cast off lingering doubts, fears, or inhibition. This very day, you are initiating a mid-course correction that will lead ultimately to total peace of mind. The ultimate objective, a new, improved version of you, brimming with realistic self-confidence and uniformly positive expectations. And never forget, the new, improved version of you is no great stranger. It will encompass all the proven strengths demonstrated in your prior gigs, bolstered by freshly uncovered talents and your newly demonstrated competence moving forward, and those are a winning combination. Now, here's the good news. The moment you become convinced in your own mind of the inevitability of success in locating or getting hired for that ideal next position, nothing will hold you back. And believe me, this very day, the potential for lifelong career excellence and fulfillment lies within you, indeed, and within each one of us. It remains up to you, though, to coax it out. Please remember, comprehensive midlife career advice, plus a whole lot more, is contained in my book, A Midlife Challenge Wake Up by Roy C. Richards. Not just your career, my book will help guide you A to Z in overcoming the varied challenges of middle age, of renewing body, mind, and spirit. So indeed, middle age is your best age. And you can preview and purchase my book on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, or our website, MiddleAgeRenewal.com. And that's our program for today. Tune in next week for advice on how to solve any problem in your life. An incredibly interesting topic. And goodbye from now, from Middle Age Can Be Your Best Age.
You've been listening to Middle Age Can Be Your Best Age, hosted by Roy Richards, an expert on midlife renewal and author of both A Midlife Challenge, Wake Up, and Wake Up, Captain and Crew, Restart Your Engines. You can learn more about Roy and his Middle Age Renewal Training System by visiting his website, middleagerenewal.com.